the permission of the person, because I asked specifically for permission, but no names are going to be mentioned. But it is something that we should listen to because it is connected with what I am talking about. Kaisa ye inqilab hai, dekh ke dil kabab hai. The hearts are becoming kebabs. They are becoming roasted. They are becoming grilled. The fire of sin is burning. It is demolishing everything, razing everything to the ground. We know that Shariat considers nikah as a very important ibadat. Many bayans you have heard on nikahs, and we know that nikah is an ibadat in Islam. It is not a function. It is not a drama. It is not a circus. It is not a concert. It is not a show. It is an ibadat. This young girl is in hijab. She wears the cloak. She is Islamic conscious. And she has the fear of Allah Ta'ala at heart. But then, the pressure that was put on her to go and participate in a certain marriage that took place, a certain wedding that took place in a certain hall. So she too got excited and then finally went there, but with her hijab on. Now this is exactly what I mentioned a few weeks ago, that there are many people who will go to such functions and afterwards they will say, Maulana, this was happening there, that was happening there, that was happening there. So what were you doing there? I asked the question. So generally that is what happens. Now here, if the person was in hijab and she was projecting an image of piety and taqwa, then there was no need for her to be there. But sometimes certain young people, young girls, it is beyond their control. There's so much of peer pressure, there's so much of force, and there is so much of encouragement or reprimanding that they have to go to such functions. So what do they do? So there are exceptions to the rule. I'm not talking about those who willingly go and thereafter keep on complaining. So she states that as much as we wait for weddings in the family to come, the problems brought into it far supersedes the true joy that should have been experienced at weddings, marriages. It says it supersedes that. So when my first cousin got engaged, the decision to make it a wedding to remember brought on the same financial, social and other burdens which weddings which are held to keep up a standard brings. For no reason whatsoever, and then she mentions the name, but because the person could be recognized, therefore I'm not mentioning that. In any case, the gist of that was that they were also invited to this wedding, and although against their wish to participate, but there was great pressure that was put, and they too certainly got excited, and a lot of costs was incurred, plenty of expenditure, and the wedding day came close. But having a little dini knowledge, Allah Ta'ala had given me the hidayah to understand that if you attend a wedding of this nature, then you are also, despite everything, part and parcel of it. And you are no exception to the sin. After a while, I realized that it was right that I adamantly refused to attend. She says again, she realized that it was not the right thing to do, but in any case, finally she was convinced, or she was pressurized and told by her mother to attend. So she also accompanied her parents to this wedding. We were not so green as to not know what to expect at such a wedding, but justification of my family's decision to attend came easily. When the day that brought about so much strain finally arrived, everyone got ready enthusiastically enough. So when a short while before we could leave, we found out that it wasn't possible for me to stay with my cousin. I felt only slight guilt knowing that I had to go as well, considering my parents would never leave me home alone. We attended the wedding. Not only was there not only did the music, cameras, intermingling of men and women, or the scantily dressed women give it an environment of sin and immorality, but the organizers went out of their way to make sure the whole procession ran in a style that would make even a Christian wedding look like nothing. Even away from the crowd and with my parda on the entire time, I kept the thought that I was just as answerable to Allah as the bride and the groom for the intensive sinning that was taking place at bay. The walimah was no better. The couple were married, the wedding was over, but what was most sad is that how the speeches that were given in this gathering, in this particular hall, the name of Allah Ta'ala and His Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam were taken in the middle of all the sin without any fear. And the Quran Sharif was recited and quoted extensively in the speeches. Even though the Quran Sharif was given, the Quran Sharif was given such respect that even before the Hafiz who recited a verse of the Quran Sharif could fully walk away from the stage, it was replaced with music without any hesitation. Eventually the wrong we justify is forgotten. So after a week or so, I too had forgotten the whole wedding. However, then I had a dream which goes like this. I was in a function attended by the type of people at the wedding and walimah which I had just attended recently. The crowd was huge and the atmosphere and dress was that of the wedding. It was day and the function was taking place this time outside. In the front, surrounded by the people, was the reason for the gathering taking place. From the sky, a body was falling. I was aware and understanding what was going on, so I started moving towards the back of the crowd. When the body which was falling horizontally was near the ground and the people were ready to receive it, the gathering went hysterical, for it hit the ground. The gathering went hysterical with fright. They began screaming and were in a state of shock. They were shocked that the people who invited them had planned something so sick for them. They were in a state of panic, fear. When I was almost at the end of the huge crowd, the body hit the ground. The blood and the pus from that body had hit every person in the huge crowd. And I too felt some of it fly on my face. Although I was calm, but the crowd was hysterical with fright and panic. Kindly interpret this dream. Now what other interpretation is there? That means that in the sight of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, at that moment in the hall when the Quran Sharif was being recited, his name was taken, Islam's name was taken, and that nikah is a sunnah of Rasul Pak